This is the story of how a Roman, a Dutchman, a German and an Italian created an iconic symbol of Britain. The four talented engravers never actually met, but each built on the work of his predecessor to create a coin design that continues to define the spirit of Britain to this day. It is the image of a young woman wearing a long flowing robe and the battle helmet of an ancient warrior. She's armed with a trident and a shield emblazoned with the Union flag. She looks out to sea with a focused gaze, as if scanning the horizon for signs of danger and ready to defend her land from invasion. Her name is Britannia, and she is the female personification of Britain. She first appeared on coins nearly 2,000 years ago during the reign of the Emperor Hadrian in the 2nd century. Back then, she looked very different. The Roman coin engraver depicted her as a rather forlorn figure, wearing a long flowing robe and sitting amidst a pile of rocks, holding a spear with a large spiked shield at her side. Her other hand rests on her chin, as if she is contemplating her fate under Roman occupation. Hadrian is of course best remembered for building the impressive stone wall across the north of England, which marked the northwest frontier of his empire. Perhaps this is what Britannia is guarding on the coin, ready to repel any invaders who try to breach Hadrian's defences. The emperor's decision to depict Britannia as a female warrior may have been inspired by events that took place in Britain 56 years before Hadrian's reign began. In 61 AD, Rome was left reeling from a series of devastating attacks that killed many thousands of their citizens living in this remote outpost of the empire. The uprising was led by Queen Boudica of the Iceni tribe, who achieved what the Romans had thought impossible and united previously warring Celtic tribes against their common enemy. Under her command, they fought with a ferocity that took the occupiers completely by surprise, and she had destroyed the thriving cities of Colchester, London and St. Albans before the Romans could assemble a sufficient number of soldiers to crush the revolt. During the final battle, it was reported that Queen Boudica drove her war chariot between the tribes, shouting encouragement and spurring them on. When all hope of victory was lost, legend has it that she took poison rather than be captured. Her inspirational leadership, daring to challenge the might of the emperor, and refusal to take prisoners or become one herself, earned her the respect of Rome, who considered her a worthy adversary, made all the more remarkable because she was also a woman. Take another look at Hadrian's coin. Is that really a shield next to Britannia? Or could it be the wheel of a scythed war chariot of the kind Queen Boudica is said to have driven? Britannia continued to appear intermittently on Roman coins until the occupiers left Britain at the beginning of the 5th century. After that, it would be more than a millennium before she appeared on a coin again. In 1672, the Royal Mint in London produced copper half-pennies and farthings bearing a new design by the Dutch medallist John ROETTIERS. Clearly inspired by the earlier Roman coins, he also depicted Britannia wearing long robes and holding a spear, with a large seal by her side. But instead of resting her chin on one hand, she now holds an olive branch to convey her desire for peace. ROETTIERS also chose to emblazon the shield with the Union flag to show the unity of the kingdom, and thus began the ongoing tradition of depicting Britannia on British coins. ROETTIERS' design was struck on copper coins for the next 125 years. In 1797, the first coins struck using steam power were produced at the Soho Mint in Birmingham by one of the founding fathers of the Industrial Revolution, Matthew Boulton. The copper pennies and 2 pennies were the largest and heaviest coins ever to circulate in Britain. Each coin had a thick raised rim on each side, which earned them the nickname cartwheels. On the reverse, the coins bore a new maritime interpretation of Britannia, created by a German immigrant working at the Soho Mint. Conrad Henry Kuchler placed Britannia on an island surrounded by water to convey Britain's supremacy of the seas. Instead of a spear, Kuchler gave her a trident, like the one wielded by Neptune, the god of the sea. The shield at her side still bears the emblem of the Union flag, and in her outstretched hand she continues to hold an olive branch as a symbol of peace. To complete the design, a ship can be seen on the horizon to symbolise Britain's naval dominance. Kuchler's maritime Britannia later appeared on copper farthings and halfpennies in 1799 and 1806. But by the time new copper coins were required in 1821, the Royal Mint in London was able to make them once again. They had a brilliant Italian engraver on the payroll, and he seized the opportunity to give the female personification of Britain a radical makeover. Benedetto Pastrucci had a passion for classical Greek art, which is why in 1817 he depicted St. George with the plumed helmet of the ancient Greek warrior in his fight with the dragon on the British gold sovereign. The design proved so popular that it continues to be struck on sovereigns today. In 1821, Pastrucci was inspired to give Britannia the same battle helmet on the copper farthing, which was Britain's lowest value coin. By doing so, the artist arguably transformed her from a remote ethereal observer into a strong warrior and protector of the realm. Pastrucci may have been inspired to make this radical change by a popular 18th century painting of Boudica by John Opie, who anachronistically depicted the Queen of the Iceni wearing this plumed headgear. It is also possible that Pastrucci was inspired by artistic depictions of Pallas, a Titan god in Greek mythology, who is depicted as a robed female figure with a plumed helmet and shield on several medals, including the medal struck for the coronation of Queen Anne. Today, one only has to visit the Pastrucci archive at the Italian Mint Museum in Rome to see that the pairing of an ancient Greek battle helmet with the head of a beautiful young woman was a subject that fascinated him. Another remarkable feature of Pastrucci's 1821 farthing is the inclusion of a lion at Britannia's feet. Only his head and front paws are visible, and he watches the horizon with her for signs of danger. The striking proximity of the majestic reclining lion and the seated woman is particularly effective and adds to Britannia's mystique as the fearless protector and guardian of the British Isles. In keeping with the maritime theme, Pastrucci retained Kuchler's trident for his Britannia, but she now grasps it like a warrior, pointing it firmly outwards in a combat-ready stance. Pastrucci also turned her to face the right for the first time, as if to recognise that any future threat to Britain would likely come from the east rather than the west. It would have felt like a pertinent observation, coming just 6 years after the Battle of Waterloo. Britannia would remain facing to the right on Britain's coinage for the next 187 years, until 2008. But sadly, Pastrucci's iconic depiction of Britannia was destined only to appear on the tiny farthing. By the time new copper pennies were required in 1825, he was no longer employed as a coin engraver, having suffered a spectacular fall from grace. King George IV was unhappy with the way Pastrucci had depicted him on coins and demanded that a more flattering portrait be created using a marble bust that he had commissioned. Pastrucci was outraged, claiming that copying the work of another artist would violate his artistic integrity. His unwillingness to pander to the king's vanity led to him being replaced by a coin artist who would. William Wyon dutifully supplied a new portrait of the king modelled on the bust, which met with royal approval. The designs that Pastrucci had created for Britain's coinage were replaced, and he would not live to see his work appear on coins again. Wyon became the first English artist to depict Britannia on circulating coins. Wisely, he chose to retain the long flowing robes that the Roman engraver had given her, together with Roettier's distinctive shield, Kuchler's maritime trident, and Pastrucci's battle helmet. Wyon's Britannia is elegant and well proportioned, but when viewed alongside Pastrucci's farthing, she arguably lacks the regal bearing and poise of that short-lived design. Also noticeably absent from Wyon's redesign is the lion that Pastrucci had placed at Britannia's side, and the olive branch that she carried as a symbol of peace. It is of course possible that Pastrucci's innovative pairing of a regal-looking lion with an equally regal-looking woman may have inspired Wyon to produce what is widely considered to be his own masterwork. His Una and the Lion appeared on the gold quintuple sovereign in 1839. Britannia continued to appear on British coins throughout the 19th and 20th century, but because Pastrucci's version only appeared for 4 years on Britain's lowest value coin, his contribution to creating this iconic and enduring symbol of Britain has been largely overlooked today. In 1968, the artist Christopher Ironside chose to reunite Britannia with the lion and the olive branch on the new decimal 50p coin. Since 2015, she has appeared on the £2 coin designed by Anthony Dufort. She still carries the trident and the distinctive Union flag-adorned shield, and wears the battle helmet of an ancient warrior, just as she did for the first time on Benedetto Pastrucci's design in 1821. But, despite being much imitated over the past 2 centuries, Pastrucci's second great coin masterwork has never appeared on coins again.